ICE protests and building sieges spread across nation by Brock Simmons for the GatewayPundit.com. Like the 2011 Occupy protest that started off as a dumb idea, is getting even dumber as the ICE protests spread to multiple cities, starting in Portland, of course, last week. Protesters are now expected across the country, including New York City, Los Angeles, Tacoma, and other cities. There's even a website where folks can keep up with the nationwide goings-on. The Portland protest now has more than 80 tents set up around the building, including along railroad tracks next to the building. LA blocking off the driveway for ICE vans and has a message for ICE agents. Hashtag LA against ICE, abolish ICE, occupy ICE LA. Well, New York City is calling for an emergency occupation. Bring yourself, no need for tents, starting today at 5 p.m. at the ICE Processing Center, 201 Varick Street in Manhattan. Join us as we mobilize to occupy ICE and sound the call that no one is illegal. These protests have centered around putting ICE buildings literally under siege, surrounding the property and not letting anyone in or out. In Portland, people are now referring to the building as the abandoned ICE facility. In fact, as one Gateway Pundit reader points out, the Portland ICE building is next to a charter school, and the children are subjected to the profane signs and criminal behavior on a daily basis. As expected, Portland Mayor Ted Wheeler has ordered the police to stand down and let the protesters have free rein. Meanwhile, people who live and work in the neighborhood that is under siege are getting fed up with the spoiled brats. Since the police won't do anything to stop what is blatantly unlawful activity, citizens are resorting to such options as spraying poop scent spray on the protesters and tents, and the protesters complain about it in the news clip from KOIN 6.
Protests outside of Portland's ICE building continue tonight, marking the 6th day. Those camping there say they're now becoming the target of people who are just looking to cause a stir.
Our Cole Miller live in Southwest Portland tonight with the very latest. Cole?
Well, guys, we're knocking on the door of a full week out here, and protesters tonight reiterating they're not going anywhere. Now, as you mentioned, they're saying that they've had some pretty nasty things thrown their way, and those who live around here are taking notice.
This is the place that is separating families and traumatizing children.
A protest pushing ahead, the message staying the same. Those here staying put until ICE leaves Portland. By now, you've seen these images, and tonight we're asking just how are things organized and who here is calling the shots?
We have laid the shot calling on our Latino family and friends because it's about them. It's not about white people. It's not about Black Lives Matter.
We're also hearing of things being thrown at those on the sidewalk.
Someone rolled by and sprayed poop.
Literal poop.
On our protesters. We have perseverance and we're a strong people, and they're not going to be able to break us.
Earlier today, Chopper 6 flying above that growing tent city, showing the size and number of people. Some nearby businesses now hiring private security, and those living around the South Waterfront wondering why Portland police are not stepping in.
And people living here and taxpayer,
Really?
What about that? I mean, there's no police, and there could be confrontation too.
Mayor Ted Wheeler has said Portland officers will stay back as this is federal property. So tonight I also wanted to know, how are people making this work with their schedule? How are they able to stay here so long? One organizer telling me that some people are going to work during the day and then coming back here at night. We will, of course, continue to follow this protest into the weekend. Jennifer, we're hearing that on Sunday a few local lawmakers may be stopping by the camp here. Live tonight in Southwest Portland, Cole Miller, KOIN 6 News.
Yeah, it continues to grow. Thank you, Cole.
I bet you 95% of the people don't have jobs. Protesters, Democrats want immigrant families. They want to pay for them? Okay. Let's build them.
Nationwide protests continue this weekend. These are centered around what's happening at the nation's southern border, of course, with Mexico. And as the Department of Health and Human Services scrambles to reunite detained families, the outcry continues here in Portland as well. KOIN 6's Jennifer Dowling joins us now with a look at the Occupy camp that's gone up at the ICE facility in Portland. Jennifer?
Good evening, Trevor. Well, that Portland protest is in its 7th day now, and as they mentioned on day one, protesters say they're going to be there indefinitely. Protesters along the South Texas border took a stand against the separation of families as a dozen children passed by in a bus. 25 members of Congress also spoke out after getting inside some of the detention facilities.
And as they opened the door, these 20 or 30 mounds of silver mylar became little girls. They stood up, they were scared, some had been crying.
It is, for all intents and purposes, a prison. They're cages.
In Portland, Occupy protesters continue to surround the ICE building with signs and tents.
A lot of people do not know that. This is the place that is separating families and traumatizing children.
Campers didn't want to talk on camera today. They described the makeup of the group earlier this week.
There's a lot of white people, and we're grateful for their support because they have a lot of privilege and they can utilize their platform to get the word out about what's going on.
Portland police also confirmed they won't be stepping in to clear the camp. The Bureau issued a statement saying police will follow the directives of Mayor Ted Wheeler and the police commissioner, stating that the Bureau is not involved in activity related to the exercise of people's First Amendment right to freedom of speech and assembly at the ICE facility. As protests continued, President Trump spoke at the Nevada Republican Party's convention.
I don't think being weak on the border, being pathetically weak on the border, I don't think that's a good issue. I may be wrong. I think I got elected largely because we are strong on the border.
And once again, put the blame on Democrats.
Our issue is strong borders, no crime. Their issue is open borders. Let MS-13 all over our country.
Meanwhile, Democrats were hinting that this issue could wind up in the courts.
They don't consider this detention. This is a shelter. They don't consider that violating the law. I would say there would be other people would disagree with that, and a federal judge may well disagree with that.
And while things were pretty quiet locally today, a larger gathering is planned at that ICE building in Portland tomorrow. Back to you, Trevor.
All right, Jennifer, we'll be sure to follow that tomorrow as well.
Well, the Oregonian reports an ICE spokesperson said the facility would remain closed until there are no longer security concerns for employees. Homeland Security officers escorted workers out of the building as demonstrators heckled them Tuesday, the last day the office was opened. Meanwhile, Mayor Ted Wheeler said Portland police will not assist federal officers in removing protesters, a reversal from the city's approach 8 months ago when local law enforcement came under fire for placing hoods over demonstrators as they were cleared away from the same site. Steve Lindquist, whose family owns the building, struck a protester with his SUV early in the week. Williamette Week reported the woman said she was not forcefully struck, but that the incident may have aggravated a previous hip injury. And on Thursday, at least 6 ICE employees, including a Milwaukee city councilor, and their home phone numbers and addresses posted to Twitter and Facebook when an activist pulled information from their public LinkedIn profiles and distributed it online. In another video, protesters make demands of the federal government, taking over a federal building, putting it under siege, preventing federal employees from doing their jobs, harassing and threatening the employees, and then making demands of the government pretty much constitutes some form of domestic terrorism. Protesters demand ICE close its Portland office. Expect the parasitic disease of these protests to spread to even more cities. Perhaps this is a good time for more citizens to take up cameras and record the goings-on of these zoos across the country, or maybe the feds will eventually act and arrest all of these people. Update live stream of the protest in Portland via KGW. Yeah, well, get the feds in, whatever.
As far as Donald Trump's executive order today, it is a victory for us because it shows us that when we put the pressure on, they will listen. It shows us that when we group together, we can make a difference and we can make a change in the policies even of this horrible administration. It's also a victory that we were able to shut down this facility. Although they say it's temporary, it will not be temporary. It's another testament to what can happen when people, regular people, stop waiting for politicians, get together, and actively make the change that they want to see in their communities. We are putting a call out to every city in America that has a sanctuary city, or that has an ICE facility in it, who has claimed to be a sanctuary city, especially sanctuary states. It's not time to wait for politicians. It's not time to wait for leaders. That isn't going to happen. The future of this country, the history of this country is being written right now, and what goes down is going to be up to us. It's up to us to take this fight and to win it. So our first demand was the complete removal of this facility from Portland. Our second demand was for the children, that they receive the care that they need, and the families as well. Our third demand is that the United States abide by international norms when it comes to asylum. And our fourth and final demand is the complete abolishment of ICE, which was...
What did he say? That the United States international... What did he say? Abide by international law?
Families as well. Our third demand is that the United States abide by international norms when
Unbelievable here.
That they receive the care that they need, and the families as well. Our third demand is that the United States abide by international norms when it comes to asylum. And our fourth and final...
Get the feds in. Well, what you see, these people are paid, you see. Did you see how he's speaking? International.
Demand is the complete abolishment of ICE, which was established under the Patriot Act by George W. Bush. It has not been around that long, and it does not need to exist.
Los inmigrantes fueron los que ayudaron a este país crecer.
Okay, yeah, we got you. Who's going to pay for this? Listen, this is George Soros funded. No way. You got the people going out in the streets. Come on. I mean, I know there are a lot of dumb idiots that would be wasting their time on this, but not to the extent, to this extent, you see. This is all Soros funded to detract from the IG report, because the witch Hillary is going to be put behind bars. That's what's going to happen. And no matter, they can stomp their feet, they can put up tents like idiots, smelling, I could just imagine the smell coming from the place that they're sleeping. These people are liberal nut jobs, but it's not so many. It's, if you think about it, it's not so many people. So, listen, and, you know, people are sick of this. and get the feds in and vote these idiots, the mayors and whatnot, out of office, because they have no concern about the average person that wants to go to work and do their job and come home and take care of their families, instead of being out in the streets like idiots to have invaders in our country that we have to pay for. I mean, this is just like absolute crazy. That's all, crazy. That's all I would say. Crazy. And you can tell by the characters there how much common sense they have. And they're probably 95% of them are unemployed. So I'm sure Soros is footing the bill for this also. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. And again, thank you so much for watching.